Preparing to live stream. I have an eye on my phone as well to see. Yeah, we're live now.
Okay. All right, and
so hello everyone, and welcome to our live event. And we'll be talking about all things multilingual. So I'm Yoshito Daramonshima-Mori, the founder of the Library for Multilinguals and the author of In Search of the Lost Words. And I'm accompanied today by Hugo Miranda. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello. Yes, hello, Yoshito. How are you? And very happy to be here. My name is Hugo, and I am one of the admins at the Facebook group and bilingual multilingual kids and parents. And we are live here today to do a last push on his campaign for his multilingual book. I know, just a little bit of background, I know that Yoshito has worked on this book on a campaign before, and that unfortunately failed. But that won't happen today. So we are here to encourage him and encourage everyone to join us and help us with this campaign.
Yeah. So just a small tweak to what you said. The campaign hasn't failed, so we're still in the campaign, and we're giving a last push to make sure that it's successful. Yeah. So it hasn't failed, and I cross my fingers so it doesn't fail, and we managed to reach the goal. But we talk about that a bit after, I guess.
All right. Yes. Thank you for jumping in on that.
Event has two objectives. So one is to help my campaign reach its goal. So it's for a bilingual graphic novel that helps children, multilingual and multicultural children, reflect on their identity, what it means for them to grow up with multiple languages and cultures, and also it has the aim to motivate them to write in their home language. And also we wanted to do this event so because it's about challenges growing up multilingual, to do a live where we could get some experts that are going to join us a bit later to talk about different aspects of what it means to grow up with multiple languages and cultures and the difficulties that can come up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And so in this book, I think you talk about some of the challenges that children face.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the biggest one that I'm focusing on is one myth that there is around us. It's this belief that multilingual children and people should be speaking all their languages at the same level, but it's rarely the case. So generally, there is one language that's better than the other, and the gap can be bigger or not. But it's something that I have suffered from personally when I was a teenager. So thinking that, so I was going to an international school and I could speak relatively well Japanese, but because I could speak less well than French, at some point I was wondering if I could really call myself Japanese. And after, as an adult, when I spoke to other people who grew up with bilingual, I realized it's something quite common. Maybe not to the extent of wondering, am I really, how do you say, French, Japanese, etc. So maybe not to that extent, but it has had an effect. Yeah. And so I'm just checking because Ute is supposed to join us a bit later. Is asking if we're live. So we are live. So I'm just checking. Okay.
Maybe I'll jump in and talk about what today is organized like.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have a very interesting type of event today. Back in the day, I used to watch telethons that would get together singers and presenters to come in and join for a cause, for donations for a cause. And I guess that with the internet, that has gone away. But today we're setting up this event to promote multilingualism. And in this case, it will be Josh's book. So we have a combination of challenges and also discussions. And for that, we have 3 experts joining us today. One of them is Tetsu Yung, who is raising his children to be multi-talented. After that, we'll have Ute, and I won't be able. You want me to try to pronounce her last name?
Ute Limacher-Riebold.
Limacher-Riebold, who is a multilingual family coach and intercultural specialist. And finally, we'll have Amanda Hsiung-Blodgett, who is an author and host of the podcast Playful Chinese. I'm actually looking forward to that. I think you have a challenge for me. Ooh.
Yeah.
So, of course, we're here to help you publish this book so that everyone can benefit from it. So we'll be talking briefly about how to go to the Kickstarter and to Joshua's crowdfunding campaign and support this project, including me.
Yeah. And thank you. And I think we have our first guest already, expert. It's Tetsu Yung. So I guess we're going to let him in because he's a bit in a rush because his son is doing a competition. So we're going to start straight away with him. And he's joining.
All right.
Hello.
He's joining the audio.
We can't hear you yet.
Yes, he's connecting.
And we should be able to hear you. No, we don't hear you. Connecting to audio, it says.
There you go.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Hello,
How are you?
everybody.
Thank you very
Hello.
much
Good morning.
for coming.
Hugo, long time no see.
Tanto tiempo, amigo.
Ajá. ¿Cómo están todos?
Muy bien, gracias.
All right. 而且你会说中文。
So we wanted to have you on this live event because of one thing you do really well, and you have a YouTube channel about it. It's how to raise multi-talented children, not just multilingual, multi-talented. So we wanted you to talk to us about how you go about it and what's your philosophy behind it.
Wow. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about Ask Tetsu. Live streaming for the first time directly from my Ferrari. There it is. All right. So multilingual, multi-talented is sort of like the themes that I put for my channel and all my social media. It's kind of redundant because multilingual in and of itself, I consider it as a talent. So it's kind of just it's like saying multi-talented and multi-talented at the same time. But yeah, I think the basic concept that we have for our kids is really about how to extract their motivation, their interests naturally, and then build an infrastructure around them to allow them to do what they like to do to the best of their abilities, naturally and with lots of motivation. That's really a simple concept.
Yeah.
Simple, not necessarily easy in application, but definitely easy to understand. I think it's the simplicity of the concept.
And I remember a live where I was because you do lots of lives with your children, and it was, I think, last year, maybe 2 years ago, I can't remember. But your son Ronnie was playing the drums, I think, and you explained that he learned it just through something that looks like Dance Revolution, where you have things that are coming down and you need to tap at the right time. And
that's right.
So you how do you do it? Do you ever teach them, or is it just that how do you do it?
Because the act of teaching in and of itself, I think for kids, it's like it's boring. It's like an authority figure, trying to force information onto you. So for me, it's it's a game called Drum Mania that I played on on my PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2.
Okay.
From that's like 25 years ago, I think. I was at the university and I bought the PlayStation 2, and on that, and I bought it just for this game called Drum Mania. There's Drum Mania and Guitar Freaks, and so all you do is I had an electronic drums, so you connect that to the PlayStation, and the game is as it is, and you hit on your electronic drums, and the signal gets transferred to the PlayStation. And it's fun. It's fun. You have all the songs that you know, and you get to play the parts, and they have it simplified for the game to like for different levels: beginner level, intermediate, and advanced. And so it's really the gamification of learning, right? So without me ever teaching them about quarter notes, half notes, no musical theory per se was taught through that game. It's really just learning it physically, I think, through your body directly. So so that's the game for drums, and there's also a similar concept. We did it with piano too. There's applications on the iPad that anybody can download called Simply Piano. For really young kids, we actually used another one called what was it called? Piano Maestro or something like that. I think it's Piano Maestro. It's more geared toward really young kids. Simply Piano is more for like teenagers or maybe older adults, because the themes are more adult oriented, or not that kind of adult oriented, but more mature. not colorful, yellow, green. Piano Maestro is really for like kids. So and the explanations are much simpler. And so my kids, they learn how to read music like through that. Ronnie, like he can read music just because he wanted to play the songs, and started from very, very low level and just getting, overcoming each, difficulty level, and then becoming really good at it. And somewhere along the way, he learned how to read. It's almost like language acquisition, just like learn it without really realizing how it goes, just like babies when they learn languages, right?
That's amazing. So you do that for everything, or there are things that you try to get them interested in?
I mean, it's mostly like that. Lots of gamification. Things that you can measure, points, scoring points, timing, faster, but in a given time. Like my son Ronnie and my son Akila, they play hockey. Okay. Now, if you get them to do drills, it's just such a pain. You tell them to do it for 10 minutes and they'll do it for 2 minutes and say they're done. Whereas I bought this little tool. It's like a training tool.
I've seen the video,
Yeah.
You have to pass it on the sensors.
You have to pass the ball under like different spots. And on the spots, there's sensors. And there's like a light that goes on. And it comes up like randomly. So you have to pass the ball here, depending on the lights. And then there's a timer that goes off. So at first, with 45 seconds, they do maybe like 7 or 12. But then they go faster and faster and faster and faster. And now Ronnie's doing like 62 was his last record. And that's quite amazing, because I called the company. So what is their, highest record? Their highest record is 64. Like,
wow.
Professionals doing that. 64 is their highest record. Now, I don't know what NHL players do, but that company, the experts at the company, their record is 64. I haven't told Ronnie, but now he's doing 62. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah, it's fun. I did not expect him to like it so much, and like and Akila also. So they're just on it all the time now, and See, it takes the burden off me to have to show them, how to hold your stick like this and do this, and then be there to watch them to do it. No, they do that. They just go off, and because it's measurable, because they see the score, that's what drives them. And now I continuously look for opportunities and tools like that, and I found another tool for hockey. Now it's also like dribbling and stuff. You have to hit certain marks, but the thing is, it's connected to the internet. So now you have other players with rankings on the internet. So now it's literally competition. You stay in your home and you get to compete with other people.
It's like an esports competition, but really actually doing a physical.
Exactly. It's not like playing hockey on NHL, 92 or whatever it is that they're doing. This is really drills, right? They're actually practicing.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to ask you as well is, because your children speak 5 languages, but I remember on a live you were saying that they don't necessarily want to learn more. It just happens. It's just in the environment. It's natural. So is that something? So maybe you can explain how you do it, because maybe the audience doesn't know, but how you do it. And also, is it something that they are going to carry on their own, like hockey, for example, they find it fun, so they can carry on? For languages, if they don't find it fun, do you think they're going to carry on?
No, if they don't find it fun, when it becomes a burden, when it's actually a task, then you, as parents, you have to monitor them, right? So that takes time and that takes effort, and it doesn't help with your relationship with the kids. You're forcing them to do something they don't like, even though as parents that it's good for them. Doesn't mean they know that. That doesn't mean they, because they don't like it, they're gonna resent it. So I try to minimize that. I mean, you have to explain to them certain things you have to do because it's good for you, but I try to minimize that as much as possible. It's like going to school. You have to go to school. I mean, I didn't like school, but they just know it's just a fact of life. You have to go to school, that kind of thing. But otherwise, if it's at home, we just try to build the environment in such a way that they'll need to use it. They'll like to use it. This compelling aspect of using languages is very important. Like, I've spoken always in Mandarin with the kids. So if they want to interact with me, it's always in Mandarin. If it's with mommy, it's always Japanese. They go to school. We live in Quebec. Everything's in French once you leave the house. And artificially, we introduced Spanish by hiring au pair. This is basically live-in nannies from Mexico. So she would speak exclusively Spanish with the kids. And so if the baby girl wants to play with Diana, the au pair, then she'll have to speak Spanish. And that's just been reality. It's like air, right? They breathe in and out. They don't think about it twice. They just do it. What else? For English?
It's relevant as well. They have someone to speak to.
Exactly. And along the same lines is, if it's English, all the things that they love to do, whether it's skating or horseback riding. My daughter loves horseback riding. Then I go out of my way to try to find a coach who speaks English, and I make sure that the coach would speak English with Nika. Then she'll learn everything. She'll learn horseback riding. Horseback riding is the main activity. So she's not, learning English. She's learning horseback riding.
But to get to the learning, she needs English. Yeah.
I see how you're combining your gamification theory and idea and incorporating it into languages in order to make an environment work for them, a linguistic environment work for them. So that is how I would summarize your entire philosophy.
That's right. It's the whole concept. It's a very simple concept. But
Yes,
the implementation, of course, for each item, it takes time. It takes a lot of thought and
Research.
resources.
yes.
Research, right?
It's quite a challenge. And
it is.
I wanted, speaking of challenges, I wanted to jump in the interest of time, into challenges. Because I've been looking forward to this kind of gamified part of our stream today.
Oh, can I say one thing though? Just one thing
Sure.
about gamification. One last thing.
Sure.
For Mandarin, typically people go to weekend schools or they hire tutors and whatnot. So we've gone down the route of hiring tutors for Mandarin, but we've used a few tutors, and we found one who's really good with kids and who'll spend half the lecture. Half the course is it's basically doing some reading and stuff that's boring, for kids. But the other half, game, traditional stuff. The other half, the second half is actually game. They just go on Minecraft, Roblox, that kind of stuff, and they just play the game with the teacher in Mandarin. So they look forward to the class every time. We have them every day, and then they're like fighting with each other. Today it's my turn. Tomorrow's my turn. That's how much they love the class. It's the first thing in the morning, so they get up at 5:30 a.m. or 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Or going to school, and they're happy to do it. How many of you have trouble getting your kids out of bed in the morning? We don't have that. We have the trouble of getting them to decide who's taking the lesson today. They all get up, So it's one stone, many birds that we try to hit with this philosophy, So, but it takes time. It takes effort. It takes thinking. It takes working with the teacher to find out, what's good for the kids. Anyways, didn't want to interrupt. That's the last thing I really had to say around gamification, around extracting motivation.
Yeah, it's really for them to want to do it.
That's right. That's right.
And for those who are following us, where can they find you? So what's your channel, and do you want to explain?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Just look for Ask Tetsu in one word, ASKTETSU. All my social media is under Ask Tetsu, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all Ask Tetsu. So look forward to hearing from everybody.
Thank you. And I think so. We have a little challenge. Do you want to explain?
Me?
Or I can explain.
So, okay. So what I understand from the challenge today, we're going to have Tetsu and Yoshiro say idioms in French and Quebecois. And the other one needs to understand what it means. Okay. For those of us who don't understand French, we will translate them into English. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, Yoshiro, you have a list of sayings, and then Tetsu also has some. And so,
because in France and Quebec we speak French, but it's not exactly the same. No. So I was curious about the idioms part.
It's probably the most different.
Oh,
should I start?
As a way to introduce this topic, I've heard from my very little knowledge of French that to say yes, in France you say oui, but then in Canada it sounds like the way Mexicans say way, like to say men, they say way. So I was like, what? Is it that different? Way? Like the Mexicans say, hey, way, oye, way. Yeah. So is that true?
It's true, yes. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah. It's slang. It's a little bit of slang. It's not like
yeah. Okay.
Formally,
in French we have ouais as well.
Yeah.
Which is like yeah. In
okay.
English.
Okay. Wow.
So, yes.
Okay. All right. So that's
wet.
Okay. That was my little introduction. So you guys take it away.
But along the lines of oui and non, here, if you say, "Do you want an apple?" You say oui. But if you say, "Oh, I thought you didn't want an apple," then you would say "ben oui," as in "mais oui." But in
Oh.
French, you say si as to
Yeah,
negate.
yeah.
We never say si. Like
Oh, wow.
we never use that. It sounds very weird. And if you say that, we know right away. Well, even for
You're
the accent,
French.
we know right away you're French. But we never say si. I think most Quebecers wouldn't even know how to use it because it's a little complex, conceptually.
Yes,
We
when
don't
it's
say ben oui.
negative, you say si. When you want to affirm that it's yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm. That's a
All
big,
right, so
that's a big difference.
let's get on to the idioms.
Sure.
So Josh, you start.
What do you think so passer une nuit blanche means? It means literally to spend a white night. Passer une nuit blanche.
It's the same. Passer une nuit blanche is to stay overnight.
Oh,
awake.
really? Ah, okay.
Yeah. 1 point for me. So if I tell you, tire-toi une bûche.
Tire-toi une bûche.
Tire-toi une bûche. What does that mean?
Okay, I'm guessing tire is to actually, you can take a pint or.
No. Une bûche. Bûche is like a log.
Yeah.
Take a log or take a piece of wood. Tire-toi une bûche. We say this a lot.
Is it something positive or negative?
It's neither positive. It's really imperative present. It's to tell you to do something.
Is it to do with to take a nap or something?
You could, but not really. It means to take a seat. Take a seat.
Take a seat.
Tire-toi une bûche.
So une bûche is actually the seat.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, so just from a view perspective, you guys are speaking French to each other, but not entirely understanding each other. So this is awesome. Continue.
Okay, I have another one. That's something that my dad used to tell me all the time when I was little. Is y a pas le feu au lac. So il n'y a pas le feu au lac. Literally, the lake is not on fire.
Wow, we don't say that at all here. I can guess maybe it means there's no hurry.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How did you guess that from? Wow.
Because here you would say a feu aux fesses or feu au cul. It's a fire here. But even that, yeah. But I sort of just imagined that from the context. But feu au lac, why a lake?
Because a lake is full of water, so the moment the water takes fire, it's too late.
Oh. Okay. It's almost like I have another one. If I say that a deux de pique, you are a 2 of spades. A deux de pique.
Deux de pique.
Deux de pique.
You're stupid?
What am I? Yeah, kind of. Yes, stupid or useless or.
Oh yeah, useless because it's a very weak card.
Yeah. It's probably the best. Best word. You're gonna fight that guy. Good pick. It's okay. No problem. He's weak. Weak is do the pick.
Wow. Okay.
How are we doing on Tetsu's time? How are you doing with time, Tetsu? How much more do you have? You're okay?
No, I'm okay.
You're okay?
I'm okay if you guys are okay. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe one last one then.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes. You could do one more, and I have a little brief one for the both of you.
Sure.
Okay.
You're totally unprepared for this.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Okay. So the expression is, okay, you could say, c'est un peu tiré par les cheveux. It's pulled by the hair. C'est tiré par les cheveux.
Unfortunately, we say that here too. So
okay.
It's something that's forced. That's it's too
it's exaggerated a bit too
unrealistic.
Yeah. Okay, you got it. So
let me give you my last one.
Yeah.
This one is probably it's the imagery that's important, and I don't know if you use it in France, but if I say je cogne des clous,
je cogne des clous.
Yeah. hitting
so
a
you
nail.
hit nails?
Yeah. If I say je cogne des clous, I'm hitting the nail. What does that mean? Oh, you don't use it in France? My goodness.
No.
Just
Je cogne
imagine
des-
the image as you being a hammer. If you're a hammer, what are you doing? Je cogne des clous.
Okay, so you're doing your job?
No. Hugo,
No?
you have any idea? Je cogne des clous.
Just
Ah.
when you understand something, you hit the nail on the head. I got it. No, hit it on
No,
the
you're gonna
nose.
have to
No.
Imagine the action. Imagine
So-
the eyes too.
Ah, yeah, so it hurts. Oh, wait. Ah, you're falling asleep.
Yes.
Ah,
Really
that's
bad,
really
you're
your
falling asleep.
action that helped me. Ah, je cogne des
Je cogne des
clous. That's fun.
It is totally Quebecer.
And
Cool.
Hugo, what was your one?
Okay, so I have a number of them. So here it is. It's also related to sayings. Okay, so I know personally that you both speak Spanish.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At probably different levels. I don't know exactly
Yeah,
because I
different
haven't
levels.
tested you. And also, you know that I'm originally from Costa Rica. And you know that as it is with Spanish, everybody speaks it differently, right? So
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
has their own sayings, has their own slang, whatnot. So here I've picked a few of sayings that we have in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And I warn you,
Oh.
not every Spanish speaker, native Spanish speaker, will get these. Okay, so these are tough.
Oh, wow, interesante. Come on. See,
So I'll give you.
gamification. See, this is fun.
Yes.
I
So
totally do this all the time. This is fun.
so I'm so looking forward to this. So I'm gonna read it to you, and then I'm gonna give you the translation, right? And then I'll probably say it 1 or 2 times, and then we'll have you go at it and see if you know what it means.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. We're gonna start easy first, okay? So here we go. Ojos que no ven,
Ah, I know this.
corazón que no siente.
I know this
Here,
one.
one more time. Ojos que no ven, corazón que no siente. So literally, eyes that don't see, heart that doesn't feel.
Yeah, you have the same saying in French also. I mean, a little different.
do you?
Loin du cœur, loin du cœur. So far from the eyes, far from the heart.
Ah, I think it's different. I think it's
Oh, yeah?
when someone says something bad about you, but you don't know about it, it doesn't hurt you.
Oh, okay.
Or not.
Okay, and Tetsu, what is your
Somebody who's far from you, eventually you will not love this person. Your feelings will be diluted over time. So it's like, if it's far from your eyes, you don't see the person, your feelings will be diluted. That's.
I think you're both running around the main
okay.
idea. So basically it's something that you don't see is something that you don't feel. And we usually use this when when teenagers were teenagers and you have relationships with boyfriend or girlfriend, and then you see someone with somebody else, but if you don't see them, you just you're not hurt. You're not hurt. So that was one. Ojos que no ven, corazón que no siente. Okay. That was just a warm-up to get you started.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's show with another one. Viendo al payaso, soltando la risa. I'll repeat it. Viendo al payaso, soltando la risa. So literally looking at the clown and then laughing out loud. Viendo al payaso, soltando la risa.
So, soltando la risa. So you skip the laugh, or what do you do with the laugh? You
Soltar is to let go. So laughing out loud.
Okay.
He is learning vocabulary from these.
Too, eh?
Viendo al payaso, soltando la risa.
So.
Okay, so Yoshito is going first.
If you're sad and you want to get better, you just need to find something funny or pleasant. Is that a way to cheer someone up?
Okay, that was your attempt. Okay, Tetsu.
I don't know. Maybe if something is very obvious, then or it's just to say something that's very obvious. Maybe if you see the clown,
Okay.
you laugh. I mean, obviously.
Okay. Okay. I think you both are, kind of running around the bush and to what it means. It's interesting how you see both of these are in present progressive. Viendo al payaso soltando la risa. So it's like Tetsu said, it's something out of an action that you see something and you react right away. Okay. But usually we use it when I won't believe you until you show up with the money, basically, kind of like that. So,
okay.
if we promise Tetsu today, he promised he would bring, his cow to sell it to us. And then I go, well, I won't buy it for him unless I see him and he shows up. So I will go viendo payaso soltando la risa.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. I'm going to teach that to my students.
Very, very Costa Rican. Very Costa Rican. Okay, so just to close the circle of three, I'll have one for you, the last one. So, indio comido, puesto al camino.
Indio comido? What's indio?
Indio comido, puesto al camino. So, an Indian that has already had food, he's put on the road.
On the rope?
On the road. Back
road,
on the road. Indio comido, puesto al camino. So, okay, Yoshito, you go first.
Something about to be content. So once you're happy, fulfilled, you can carry on working or carry on your whatever you're doing or you need to do. So you need to be, if you're content, you can do whatever is needed.
Smart.
Okay. I can see he's really putting an effort on these. And Tetsu, how about you?
I was going along the same lines without the happy or not. It's just, do what you have to do first. Then after that, you can get on with whatever, first do your homework. Once you're done with your homework, then you can play, go on your road. That's sort of what I had in mind.
All right. Well, you're kind of way off.
We're not even close to the bush.
So I don't know specifically why it says Indio. Like, Indio are the Native Americans in our country because Costa Rica does have some. But Indio comido puesto al camino, it's a saying that we use for someone that just comes in, has lunch, and just leaves. Usually you come and sit around, you eat lunch and you go and you socialize, you hang out.
Yeah.
But if you're the type of person that you just go there, eat and leave, everybody will say, oh, he's just Indio comido puesto el camino.
Just somebody who comes and does his or her job quickly and then just does his business and is out on his
leaves.
way.
So it could be not only for food, it could be for any other task. Indio comido puesto el camino. He just came to do his business and he's left.
Wow, interesting. Do you think this is really just Costa Rica, or is this most South America, Latin America? If you say this, people will understand.
Well, that would be a challenge because you see, when we grow up in a cultural bubble. We don't really interact with others in other countries. So if we don't hear their media either, so we don't really know. There will be only we have to test it. Like when I used to work at the video game company and we have one term to select for the game, I would literally have to go around and ask and say, do you say this? And do you say this? And do you say this? Because we ourselves don't know. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes you'd be very surprised. I was just working on a video, on a short, just discussing the differences on how to say banana, because that varies too.
So many ways.
And sometimes we don't know it ourselves. So that would be a topic for another live stream, Tetsu. just to see. Do you say this?
Yeah, I mean, so many regional stuff that goes in, like India.
Right.
I mean, it's not every place has Indian.
Yes, yes.
In Quebec, we say attache ta tuque to say, get ready, buckle up. Attache ta tuque because it's cold here. You hold on to your hat.
Yeah.
You're running faster.
Okay.
Probably you don't use it in France. Probably because it's not that cold. You don't. It's not a regional thing that gets in.
Right. So Tetsu, now maybe you can join us if you still have time, because Yoshito is going to give an update on his campaign. Sure. And while he does that, I also need to run down and get my wallet because I am going to go get ready to do, to put in my grain of sand to this.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So while Yoshito does that, I'll run down
I'm
real
still
quick
okay.
And then boot back.
All right. We'll keep the chair warm for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
So at the moment, so we have 104 backers, and the amount we raised currently is £8,863. So out of 13,000. So we're still a bit far, but I think it's 60-something%, 67-8%. So there is a bit of a way to go, but hopefully we'll close this gap by Tuesday, because I have until Tuesday to raise all the funds. So that's where we are. And I guess while we're waiting for Hugo, I wanted to maybe add a bit about the fun things. Hugo is back. So about the fun aspect, how to motivate children, because that's also the logic I used to write my book. So
yes.
So because one of the things I think is, so between reading and writing, I think it's easier to motivate children to read. We just need to find the book they love. But to write, it can become very easily something academic. So that's why I created this time travel adventure, where the children have to complete the speech bubble with their home language. So the story justifies why it needs to be written in the home language, because the main character understands one language, the one she speaks all the time, the community language. She doesn't really understand her dad's language. So whenever people around her speak in that language, she can guess a few keywords, but she doesn't get the full message. And the aim is for the reader to complete the speech bubbles by using these keywords and by looking at the situation overall. So trying to motivate children to write in a fun way.
Yeah, I don't think I know any other person who does it like you do. This making the reading, writing, fun, motivating, compelling for kids is super difficult. I mean, wow. So hats off. I mean, the book in and of itself is amazing. Like the graphics are amazing, and the whole story, it's our lived experience, and it's the lived experience of many, many, many kids today, with the globalization advancing at the rate that it's going. So I'm sure, that it's hitting a sweet spot for so many families.
Thank you.
I hope you get it. I hope you get it, because I want to have that copy in my hands. But
Thank you.
The last few days, that last
to
part.
show, it's Idioms. I have printed the book to show you that originally it was like this. So these are my drawings, not very much, but my illustrator. So Idioms is just printed like this because it's not printed as a book yet. But I'll show you the same image, just so you can see why I need an illustrator. So you have this at the restaurant, and the people talking that became this.
Nice.
People to want to read. And so I have the first third that's completely illustrated. I still have 2/3 that's why I'm running this Kickstarter campaign. So all these pages, so I drew them as sketches, but my illustrator is making them look fantastic. And like the cover, I really love what she's done with. So I'm going to show it again. But yeah.
That's
So
very nice.
if you are watching on the live or after, and you want to help get these into something that looks like this, please contribute to the campaign. And yeah, as I mentioned in some of the posts I've made, if we reach the goal, I'm going to add 2 new things for everyone. 2 guides, one for parents, which is this one, which is a book that I wrote before, to make reading and writing fun. So that's the paper version, but you get the e-book version, and a printable. So that's something, I guess, Tetsu, you recognize it because you're illustrated in it. And so
nice.
it's a small booklet, like well, it's 40 pages to help children go over how to develop their skills that they're maybe unknowingly developing, and how to take this into the superpower level. I'm just going to show everyone how Tetsu appears.
Oh, much better much better in person.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay,
So,
I've done my pledge.
thank you very much, Hugo.
All right.
And I see Ute is waiting in the waiting room. So thank you very much again, Tetsu, for coming and sharing all your wisdom about how to motivate our children to do anything.
Fun.
Thank you.
Yes, Tetsu, thank you for joining, and it was a lot of fun. You know, we have to get together and do some more of these because we just have so much fun with the challenges.
That's right. That's right. No, absolutely. You know, the more the merrier. And
yes,
we'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, and good luck to your son with his competition.
He's there. I can't do anything. He's there. All righty.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you guys.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
And so I'm going to let Ute in. And so Ute is joining. When she's joining, oh, no, she's joining. I'm going to introduce her quickly for our audience, so people who are following. So she's my partner in multilingualism. Hello.
Hi, hello.
I'm just introducing you quickly. So together we have this channel, YouTube channel called Activities for Multilingual Families. And she's also co-hosting with Tetsu that we've just seen, Raising Multilingual's Lives, and where they get experts and they have weekly chats as well about multilingualism. And she's a coach for multilingual families and also an intercultural specialist. Correct me if I'm wrong, where you help people transition from one country to another.
Yes, and I help with effective communication across cultures. So in multilingual families, usually you have different cultures and you communicate in different ways, which can lead to some misunderstandings. But hello, first of all, hello, Yoshito, so nice to see you. And hello, Hugo, the first time that I meet you on screen, right? And in real life, we never met. So it's very nice to join you here today.
Thank you very much. And so Hugo, do you want to explain why we wanted Ute to come?
Sure. Yes. So yes, Ute, it's been a long time that we've run into each other online, and it's finally, you know, a pleasure to be synchronized, at least at the same time, and, you know, be able to talk to each other. Been looking forward to this. So thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. So, okay, I'm trying to find where I am on my script.
I can explain if it's easier.
Yes, you go for it.
But because Ute, you help so many families, and one preoccupation that I see a lot, and I think you can help clarify how to deal with this situation, is either parents who are scared or it's actually happening, where the children reject their language, so they refuse to speak the home language or the culture. So what advice do you give And I guess it's not a one answer for all the situation, but maybe you can explain a bit how you, your point of view as an expert on this.
Yes, I don't know if I'm an expert. Let's say what makes one an expert. Maybe if you dealt with that situation many times, you become an expert. That might be. So yes, it's actually something that many of us struggle with, and maybe we went through it ourselves. So I went through this actually, but yes, refusing to speak a language. I always say it's a little bit a strong word to use. Refusing, it triggers something in us. It triggers a certain reaction, like we are offended, we are frustrated, we think we do everything wrong, but I would rather say, or try to switch it a little bit around and say, it is a sign. It is a sign for something that is changing or that changed, and that made the child who previously was using the language not use it anymore. So there can be many reasons for that, all kind of changes, right? Either you move to a new place, or the child has a new friend, or someone said something about the language or about the child, even the accent, don't let me get there, or anything can actually trigger this in children. And I would also distinguish between little children, let's say under age of 3-ish, that don't want to speak the language, or all of a sudden, or for a reason that is apparent for them, stop using the language as before, right? And older children, because very young children, they do it in an unconscious way. They don't realize what they are doing, yeah? So reacting as an adult with being offended or thinking there is something going wrong with the child is, in my opinion, not the best approach anyways. So getting offended by that or taking it personally, it's usually not because of the parents, but because of the situation, or let's say a series of things that come together that lead the child to prefer another language, okay, or to prefer the food from another culture. Yes, because we're talking about culture and language. It's not only language, it's everything that is attached to it. And the use of our language is not only determined by the person that speaks it with us, but we also link it to places, to experiences, to all kind of things, to food, to senses, right? To smells, to taste, to everything. So we don't know. Yeah. And what I invite parents to do is to find out what changed, what could have brought your child to not wanting or not feeling that confident in using the language at a certain point. Because then you find the reason, and then you can work on the reason, on the context, and recreate a context that is actually then positive for the communication in the target language.
And I think at the beginning, you said you went through this as well. And I believe it was when you were a teenager.
Yes, I had several phases where I didn't like to speak German. German is the language that my parents spoke with me, and that's one of my first languages, together with Italian, because I grew up in Italy. And then yes, it was German when I was 6-ish, 7-ish years old, and I had a situation actually where children that we just moved to a new place. And the children in the neighborhood, there were some were very, very friendly and very outgoing. And I was very happy that they were more or less the same age. But there was a family that had very negative experience during the Second World War. And so the children who were my age were told not to speak with us and not to play with us. And that made me realize, or let's say my mother then had to explain to me why they were so upset and why they had this kind of attitude towards us that made me then realize, okay, there is more than just us speaking another language. It's all loaded with experiences other people have with that language. And then later, yes, when I was a teenager, it was because I had mostly friends in Italian friends or local friends, and I didn't want to be the only one who speaks or who is German or who speaks another language or who has another language. So I just wanted to belong. And I actually also felt very much Italian, much more Italian than German. And I think we go through phases where we tend towards one language and one culture more than to the other. It's part of growing up multilingual, multicultural in the end.
And how did your parents react? So both times, when you were 6 and when you were a teenager?
When I was 6, they kept explaining to me that it's fine to speak German, and it's okay. But I remember very vividly that my mom also said, if you don't feel like it, just don't talk to me in German when we are out and about. And this was very early. I mean, someone who's 6 years or 7 years old, it's early to understand that there are situations where you don't feel safe to use a language. Okay, so and the second time when I was a teenager, and then there was another time when I was in my 20s, but that's another thing. We don't get there. We're talking about children. So when I was a teenager, my mom just explained to me that, well, yes, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, I understand you, even if you talk to me in Italian, but when we are all together, maybe can you make the effort? So we negotiated the language use. And that was fine for me because, you know, teenagers, and not only teenagers, also very young children, they want to have a say when they decide what toy to take or what game to make and what book to take, to read, what texts to write, right? So, and what sports they like. So as I had a say, it was much less a must for me. It was very clear. I said, okay, good. That makes sense to me. It's good. I can accept that.
I guess that's a good approach to give a say to the child, who is the one who in the end is deciding if they want to speak in one language or the other. I guess it helps also the children come back to that language without any negative feeling about it.
Yes, and I think it's even more important. I focus very much with my clients and everything I do really very much on the family, because in the family you can decide the roles. Yeah, you set, you decide also which values and beliefs you want to transmit to your children, and you have more or less control. I say more or less because you don't always have the full control, absolutely not, but you have more control than in the broader society, right? You cannot say what the neighbor thinks or how the neighbor relates to your children or how a teacher treats your child. That is where you cannot do more than the minimum sometimes, but at home you can establish some rules. And if at home these rules are in a way that is not forcing, or it's not that, you know, I always cringe if someone tells me my child does not respond in the language and just ignore him. No, please don't. Yeah, because it's the most important thing. You want to have the relationship with your child. You want to
keep the connection.
Connected. Yes, keep connected and keep the communication flowing. Because if you block that, you're not only harming your child in so many ways, but also your relationship with the child and yourself in the end as well. I mean, it's time that will never come back. So it's better that you work on that as an adult. I know not everyone is that adult. I'm not all the time. I like to be child every now and then, but still with these kind of things, I feel that it's important that we put on our adult hat or whatever it is.
I find this so interesting, and I'm going to be asking you more questions in the future, Ute, particularly because you have a degree. Well, not only do you have a PhD, but you have a degree on teenager university. So you graduated from teenagers. Your kids are teenagers.
Yes. They are teenagers and young adults. My son is 20, yes.
Oh my God. So yes, you're far more advanced than I am. And I am literally scared of what I'm looking at. My question was, as I see that you are in your practice, I see you as a super nanny of languages. Have you guys watched Super Nanny?
Yes. Do I need to share what I think about that? No.
No, we can save it for later.
Okay.
But my question was, do you get to, in your practice, and you don't need to share anything specific, of course, but in your practice, do you get to interview or interact with the kids directly?
With some, yes.
Okay.
With some I do, especially when it is, it depends on the situation. I usually work with the parents and give them the steering wheel, so they have to get to know their children better, and they have to report to me, and I don't see the children. They report to me how it works with the children, but sometimes I see the children as well. It's so funny because since the pandemic, as everything was online, it was much easier for many parents to book an appointment, and then you would have the child coming in and saying hello. I could see the interaction, observe the interaction between the parent and the child in their own home, in that setting that usually when they came here to my office, they wouldn't be. So it's outside of home. They don't have the toys. They don't act so naturally like when they are at home. So I really saw the benefits of seeing them and meeting them on screen, yes, but in their own very safe and familiar environment. So that's another.
Let me just jump right into what you just said. They don't have the toys. What do you mean? Well, what?
They don't have their toys that they can show me when they are in my office, for example. I do have books and other things, but it's my stuff. Whereas if I have them on screen with their parents, they can say, oh, look, this is new. And they show me a book, or they show me a new toy. And
Oh, okay. So let's talk about your office. In your office, you have toys that are there specifically to promote multilingual interaction, or how is that? Did I get it right?
yes, no, I have some toys, some games, actually, and some little toys for older children, let's say starting from 2-3 years old, not very young ones. And I have books, different books, just also to see how they manage a book, or how the parents would read a book to the children. That is also something very interesting for me to see, because it might seem very obvious. I mean, we are adults, we have read a lot during our life before becoming parents. But when it comes to reading to and with children, it seems a new science for some.
So what languages do you speak? I don't know. I don't think I've seen a list.
You don't. Okay, I speak English like we are doing now, then French, German, Italian, Dutch, and Swiss German. And I understand Spanish. I understood what you were saying before with Tetsu. I don't speak it yet. I have no idea why, but I read it and I understand quite a lot, but well, depending a little bit on the context.
You understand quite a lot of Spanish?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we stopped at 7.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked you about your languages for 2 reasons. One, for the challenges later.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you might be shooting yourself in the foot because you already said Spanish. So
no, okay. I take this back.
Just teasing you. The other reason I asked is, when you meet with your clients, and if it is in person, is there, I just imagining in my mind, is there an opportunity where you get to model to the parent how you would interact, and you using the languages that you know, or is that just my imagination?
You mean the languages that I know? Italian?
Do you model using, like, say, Italian to the parent and the child, the kid, to interact with Italian? because it's a language you speak, so you.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, if I have parents who speak Italian with their children, all my help is in Italian, or if it's German, it's German. If it's Dutch, it's Dutch. So it's always in the target language.
Oh my God, I wish I could be there to see that. Then it is like super nanny, a super language, and I don't know what the name is. That would be so interesting to see.
It is nice, and I really like the days where I can use several languages. You know, it's like, yeah, being able.
That's a superpower. You can really help more people because you can speak more languages.
Yes, yes.
Now, have you read Yostro's project about this book that and do you think this will be useful?
Absolutely, yes. I'm supporting him since he started, I think.
Was one of my beta readers, so she knows every single frame in my book. She had a look at them.
Could you pinpoint one aspect of the book that you would see would be beneficial to not just a few languages, but to all languages?
Yes. Can I say something about a scene that, well, there is a scene in the book. I
Yeah,
try
you can.
to say as vague as possible, because otherwise I'm giving.
That's why you can give details. Hopefully it's going to be published and everybody will be able to see it soon.
Yes.
So,
you know, while I'm speaking, where I'm talking, Yoshito, maybe you can show the book as well, or maybe some pages. But there are several scenes. I mean, those who have followed Yoshito's campaign for a while, they have seen some pages where you can fill in, I don't know, the onomatopoeia, the whoosh, woof, woof, etc. But there are also scenes or pages where children can fill in what they think about what has been said in a certain situation. So they can interpret a situation based on the pictures and on the information that they got from the previous scenes, from the previous pages. And that is something that I think is a little bit underevaluated in terms of when we use a language that we are maybe not that familiar with. We assume from gestures, from the body language, what the other person is saying or intending. And then we can continue the conversation or the story in these terms. So I think all children with all kind of linguistic and cultural backgrounds can profit from this book, and you can adapt it actually also, yes, in the lessons, like I said to Yoshito, for those who for the teachers who use the translanguaging practice in school. So teachers don't need to know all the languages that their children have as home languages. I don't know, some teachers have 25 children in the class and 20 home languages, different home languages. So it's unrealistic to think that they can speak them all and understand them all. But the children can then use this book, complete these scenes, share it with the parents, and then they come back and they talk about it in the school language. And how fantastic is that? Because you build practically a bridge between home and school, something that really is necessary, especially with children who have different languages at home, so that the teachers know what these children, what we are capable of, right? What we can do and how we can bridge between these 2 or 3 or 4 languages sometimes every single day.
Yes, I agree with you that this section of the book is quite unique. And I have well, you tell me, Ute, because you probably read more than me, but I have not seen this type of, I mean, I've seen books where you go and fill in stuff, but not in the multilingual setting, where you get to fill in bubbles and kind of go along, make your own story, make it interactive, and make it teaching, like a teaching moment, right? So I quite agree with you. Another aspect that I see myself, I don't know if that's a secret, Yoshito, you
that's fine.
On the book, but there's one thing that just as Yoshito and I were discussing about his project back about 2 months ago or so, he discussed how a child will make a connection with a grandparent via an object.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that just burst into my brain with ideas how we do to connect the generations, and thus using the language to connect to that. So it just made me feel like this book is kind of can we say multiverse? Is it still cool to say multiverse? And multi-generational, and how powerful it is when think of that moment when you do cleaning at the end of the year during Christmas or whatnot, and you go through your old things, and then you start pulling objects from your box, your treasure box, and then you want to tell your kids about it, right? Oh, look I found my old ID from when I was studying at this school. Like, oh, look at how funny this picture is. And then your kids get to an age where they want to know about that. And they can probably read, right, what is written there. And if you've been doing your homework about teaching them that language, they'll be able to read it.
Yes.
A brief example was just my daughter that found my elementary school diploma.
Wow.
And she was reading it, and she, inside there was a list of all the names of my classmates that graduated, and she was going through all the names, and she was reading them, because we're all Spanish speakers, and I felt such a pressure on my chest. It was so strange because we made that connection. So anyway, all of this because of just talking about Yoshito's book and Yoshito's project.
Just to add about the intergenerational link, it's often, so when, for example, my children are growing up in England, they speak English, French, and Korean. But for example, my mom speaks a bit English, understands English, but she doesn't really speak it. My in-laws, they speak Korean, but they don't speak English at all. So the only link they have is if they speak that language, and when the parents generally understand both, but it's really the link between the grandchildren and grandparents that I wanted to talk about in this book as well. Mm-hmm. So how to reconnect with your roots in a way, through the language. So Anna, at the beginning of the book, she doesn't really speak the language. She understands it a little bit, but she doesn't speak it, and she feels a bit ashamed to speak it. But at the end of the book, so then she does more speaking her granddad's language, and they go fishing together. And so it's like how language can reconnect people. But also through this book, I wanted to show how you can let children want to speak the language. So like Tetsu was saying before, like how to motivate them to speak the language. It's these connections we have with people that can help in making our children see the benefits and see why it's so useful to speak the language.
Yes, and also the need to speak the language, because you want to have this connection with your grandparents, right? So, I think it's also good for grandparents to know that they can use this book to give their children a little peek into how it was when they grew up, because very often when we raise our children abroad, the connection with grandparents happens mainly through screen, maybe, or every now and then you visit. If you're lucky, you can visit maybe once, twice, 3 times a year, some more often, but many much less often. So if you have that kind of book or that kind of tool with which you can build up even a series. Okay, let's read the first pages, and then next week we do the next pages, and I will show you this object that is in my other room that you don't see because we always have FaceTime in this one. That kind of connection also with extended family that lives far away, it's very precious, it's very valuable. So I think this book is actually very, you can use it in so many different settings and for so many different purposes that it needs to be coming out soon. So please.
Now that you mentioned that, I think we're ready to switch on to challenges. But before that, Joshua, can you give us an update? Because I made a pledge. So can you give us an update on how your book is coming up right now? And then in the meantime, I'm going to prepare with the challenges.
So we were at 104, now it's 105. Thank you very much of backers. And I can't see the percentage, I need to calculate it, but the amount raised is £8,898, nearly 900, out of 13,000. So we're getting closer. Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm really so grateful for all the people who pledged already for backing this project and who believe in it. And yeah, so thank you, Hugo, because you had the idea of this event. Ute for coming in to give your insight in the book, but also about your expertise for sharing it. So thank you very much.
I think you have left 3 days left in this campaign.
Yeah, 3 days left. So until Tuesday. So on Tuesday, it will be finished. So the goal is really to raise the amount by then. I have a couple of meetings with potential sponsors on Monday morning. It's going to be quite an early start, but hopefully positive start. And there are 2 schools who told me they would pledge. They haven't done it yet, so hopefully they do it on Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, so
I see that it's at 68% on the site, but that's what it was before my pledge. So
yeah, because it's a big amount, so it doesn't change that much. But for example, yesterday it was 67. Someone pledged, I think, about 50 or 60 pounds. They went to 68. So yeah, but it's when it doesn't say 67 point something. So if you're close to 68, a bit can change the percentage.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for the update. Now we're ready to move on to the fun part or the challenging part. So Ute mentioned that she speaks Spanish, but she also speaks Italian, right? Yes. Okay, so I think you might have an advantage there. Yeah, Joshua doesn't speak Italian, but okay, we'll make it easy for you. So you know that tongue twisters are like a technique to, teach languages, and they make it fun and make it challenging. Okay, so what I have here, and I probably need to paste this somewhere, so sharing screen so that you guys can both see it. But let's see how you're both at tongue twisters in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay? Is that okay?
Can you put them in the chat maybe or somewhere?
Yes. I'm going to get them here. And okay, I'm going to pull them up in a place where you can both see it. And I think maybe, Joshua, if you allow me to share screen so that you can both see it here.
I just allowed you to share screen.
Okay. And we're gonna go easy first, okay? And who wants to go first?
I don't see the screen yet, so
okay, I can.
Let me first.
Oh, so she wants to see it first and then decide.
Camarón caramelo. Oh, camarón caramelo, caramelo, camarón camarero. Camarón caramelo, caramelo, camarón, camarón caramelo, caramelo, camarón.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. Basically, camarón, I'll just explain real quick. Camarón is shrimp. Camarón is shrimp. And caramelo, it's a caramel. Look, for some countries, it means candy. Yeah. For me specifically, it's like the soft type. So we'll go like camarón, caramelo, camarón. Not even I can do it, you see.
Shall I try?
Okay, so go ahead. Okay.
Deep breath. Camarón, caramelo, caramelo, camarón, camarón, caramelo, caramelo, camarón.
Ooh,
nice.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, now let's speed it up, Joshua. Times 2 speed.
Oh my gosh.
Camarón, caramelo, camarón. Oh, no, camarón, caramelo, caramelo, camarón, camarón, caramelo, caramelo, camarón.
Oh my God. Okay, Ute, you just saw his smoke. He was going fast, okay?
Okay, let's go. Camarón, caramelo, caramelo, camarón, camarón, caramelo, caramelo, camarón.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, she mastered it.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Just like with the challenges with Tetsu earlier, that was just to get you started, you know. That was an easy one.
I think, Ute, you have prepared something as well, no? For
Oh, I have always something, but please go ahead with your challenges, Hugo.
Okay, I'll do just one more.
Mhm.
I'll just do one more. Is this like a classic? It's like a classic tongue twister in Spanish.
Mhm.
Okay. So, okay, let me gear up to go and share it now. Okay. And let me see, let me make it easier here. If we do this, is that big enough?
Yes. Pablito clavó un clavito en la clava de un clavito.
Yeah, Pablito is little Pablo.
It's a little Pablo, yes.
He nailed
Clavó un clavito
a nail.
en la clava.
That I don't know. I haven't seen this part, but it's a calva would be the head, I guess, of a nail. And then in the head of the nail, a nail was nailed on
by
Pablito's.
Pablito.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting
This is like one of the classic ones in Spanish.
my head nail.
Okay, I try.
Yes, go.
Pablito clavó un clavito en la clava de un clavito, en la clava de un clavito, clavito, no, un clavito clavó Pablito. Oh, I have one more go. Pablito clavó un clavito en la clava de un clavito, en la clava de un clavito clavó Pablito.
That was pretty decent. Only that you said clava instead of calva.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
that, huh? Because it's the
Yeah, clavo and calva, yeah.
it's that tongue twister. Okay, I try. Pablito clavó un clavito en la calva de un calvito, en la calva de un calvito, un clavito clavó Pablito.
I said clavito as well, no?
Yes.
Yeah, this one is calvito.
Calvito.
So like a little
Clavito,
baldy.
clavito en la calva de
And then this is a little nail.
Clavito.
So yeah, there's this little thing here where the letters are,
Yeah.
you know, and so that is the challenge of it.
Okay.
So, okay, so Yoshio, you want to try one more time and that's it?
Okay, one more time.
Okay.
Okay, I need to, okay. Pablito clavó un clavito en la calva de un calvito. Okay. Pablito clavó un clavito en la calva de un calvito. En la calva de un clavito clavó Pablito.
All right. Awesome. Okay, now, Ute, you want your last chance?
Okay. Pablito clavó un clavito en la calva de un calvito, en la calva de un clavito clavó Pablito. Pablito.
Oh, she was doing so well. He almost beat Yoshio at the end.
No, almost. That's almost.
Awesome. Well, that's my part for the challenges. Do you guys have something in store, something different? Because if not, I can come up with another one that I have in store.
Yeah, then come up with another one, because mine were more about culture and so on. And let's focus on the language. It's much more fun.
Okay. So I know that you both speak. I know the languages you both speak, and I think none of them is Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Because now I'm going to challenge you to the pronunciation.
Oh, okay.
Of Chinese. Okay. So I'm not gonna give you like the easy ones, you know, like ni hao.
Okay.
Everybody can pronounce that. Okay. Now, but there's a part of the pronunciation in Chinese that is very challenging for a lot, and that is in linguistic terms, for the linguistic geeks, These are called, let me see if I find them here. Yes, denti-alveolar retroflex. Denti-alveolar retroflex. So the denti, the teeth, yeah, and alveolar. The alveolar ridge is right behind. It's a ridge, like a little bump behind your teeth, above your upper teeth. Okay.
Yes, no?
Right, and the retroflex, it involves your tongue
Goes back.
like curled back in that ridge.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So it is very challenging for many non-Chinese speakers to pronounce the word eat. Okay. To pronounce the word eat, just to eat. And it's like a basic one. It's like a basic one, right? So I'm going to model it for you. And I'm going to give you a graphical help. Okay. Just to make it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to copy this one. Okay. But I'm not going to copy the other ones, because if I write with the alphabets that you know, you're not going to get it right. You're going to get confused.
That's
you're
fine.
You're going to see the graphical letters and you're going to try to mimic the letters instead of the sound. Okay. Okay. So this one, actually, this is not the word eat. I'll copy this one. Okay. So here. So the word eat is just like that, just a retroflex, and it's like this. Sure. Yes, you guys are getting it. You guys are gifted. You guys are so gifted. Oh, just if I may add, the tone is just the first tone, so single tone. Don't go like ch. It's like ch. Yes. It's supposed to. So I think you got it. Some people write it like this, as you can see in the wiki here. But people get confused in saying chi.
No.
And that's not it. Because when you go with the retroflex, you can hear the echo in your mouth, and you can hear it. So you can hear it. Let's do it one more time, but you guys were doing it at the same time, and then we'll do Yoshito and then Ute, okay? And you can hear the echo here. Sure.
One more time?
Yes.
Sure.
All right. That was not so difficult. Okay, Ute.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, now that you know that one, you can add at the end an easy one. So that means let's eat, or eat food. So you just go 吃饭. Yes, and this one is the fourth tone, so it sounds a little ill-mannered. That's the way I can describe it. It sounds a little ill-mannered, like you're angry. 吃饭. Perfect. Yeah, you need to sound a little angry because you're hangry. Yes, so it will be like 吃饭.
吃饭.
Perfect. Okay, next time you sit at the table, and there's a Chinese speaker, just remember the first one is like this, like monotone. 吃饭. Perfect. Right. Oh my God, that's what they say, because they want to get started and eating. Okay, some people say in French, bon appétit.
Yeah, bon appétit. Yeah.
Well, no, in Chinese they just, hey, eat. 吃饭. 吃饭. Okay. Well, that was my tiny challenge.
Yes. No, that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. I can imagine that Amanda, who is waiting, I guess, she has her fun hearing us doing these little exercises of Chinese. She will tell you how to do it.
Before you go, can you share with the audience where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me, yes, either in my Facebook group, Multilingual Families, plural, or with Ute's Int Lounge on Instagram and YouTube, etc., or Ute's International Lounge. That's where you can find me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Nice to meet you, Hugo.
Oh, nice meeting you, Ute. We'll see you. Hopefully, I'll see you around more in the future.
That would be nice. Yes. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So we have one more guest. And do you want to say something, or can we introduce her? Or maybe I let her in.
Yes.
She's coming in. So, hello, Amanda. One more guest. How are you? Oh, I think you need to lower your volume on. Ah, yeah. Be careful, you muted yourself on the screen.
Okay. Hello.
Ah, yeah, I can hear. Yeah. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm hungry
And-
because you guys were talking about eating. Yeah, Hugo, really nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you, Amanda. Nice to see you.
I was like, I
And-
am hungry. Mhm.
For the audience, very quickly, so Amanda has agreed to come on the live. Thank you very much. And she is so I'm I think I don't know if it's the thing that people know the most about you, but you have a podcast called Playful Mandarin. Is it Miss Panda Playful Mandarin, or is it
Playful Chinese. Yes.
Playful
Playful Chinese podcast.
Yeah. And you're also an author. You have published 2 bilingual books, and we can see them behind you. Do you want to talk about what you do before we start?
Yes. Oh, thank you. Well, most people know I am Miss Panda, and so you can find me at MissPandaChinese.com. And then I'm also the Chinese language consultant for a Netflix show called Word Party for the dual lingual seasons. And so what I do is I'm helping families to make their way of learning Mandarin Chinese simple and also consistent. And then my main job also is just a bilingual family coaching, as well as helping people that are relocating to China or Taiwan to give them a really fast pace of learning. So when they land in a Mandarin speaking country, they can immediately be able to communicate, yeah, in a simple way. Yeah.
And thank you very much for coming. The reason
you.
I wanted you to come and join us today is so because we're talking about how to motivate our children, what makes our languages relevant to us. And I think when your children were younger, it was a bit difficult, and you did something quite amazing. And I was wondering if you could share with us this adventure you are on.
Yes, thank you for having me. You know, like I said, it was wonderful to see this community. Thank you, Hugo, and thank you very much, Yoshito. My kids are big kids now. They're teenagers. Actually, both of them are going to be in college very soon. One is already in college. The other one is going in during the summer, after the summer. So when they were very little, one thing I noticed was 1 year when my son was about 2nd grade, and he came home, he literally just told me, he said, "Hey, Mom, I'm not going to speak to you in Mandarin anymore. I am just going to speak English."
Just like that?
Yes, just like that. He figured it
Wow.
out. He just came home and just told me, "I'm done with Mandarin." And I was expecting that, but I was not expecting so soon. And
I'm sorry, what age
yes.
did that happen?
2nd grade, about 2nd grade, seven years old.
So 7. Okay, got it. Continue.
Yeah, about 7 years old. And then I said, okay, but I said, I'll continue to speak with you in Mandarin, and then we'll keep doing the daily Mandarin activity. I'll do that with your younger sister. Okay, bye. And then he said, "You know, Mom, you are the only person who speaks Mandarin." Nobody else, nobody in school, nobody speaking Chinese. I said, that's really true,
Oh, that's
actually.
so direct.
Yes, he literally just discovered that, right? And that
Huh.
was the time we relocated from Canada back to US. So we were overseas for a long time. So that was the time, he came back to the first time. He basically was old enough to understand he's in the States, everybody's speaking English. But before that, we lived in Montreal. So his environment is more multilingual, French, English, sometimes if we meet some people in speaking Chinese. So it's really interesting to see that. So I was like, okay, what do I do to get him back? That's very important. So what happened was, I decided to take Mandarin outside of home because if I am the only person, if that's the situation, I need to find a community for them. So that's where I went to my daughter's preschool and started a weekly program in her school. And all the kids were learning Chinese with her. So that was really interesting. And the parents were so enthusiastic about this. So when my daughter went to elementary school, where my son was studying at the same school, I said, oh, I want to bring this program to the school as well. So at the school that already they were learning Hawaiian and Japanese, and also English is the community language, everything's in English. So I was able to start a program, not an after school program, but an in curriculum program, but it's a very short. So during the time my daughter was in preschool, we kept playing everything, in Mandarin, and that's the language I speak anyway. And then my son, actually, after 2 months, we were playing toss the marshmallow game. Oh, it was so fun. Toss the marshmallow, getting to read the Chinese words and phrases and things like that. He came and he left. He came back and he left. And then he said, can I play? I said, sure. I said, well, the rule is when we do this kind of playing, it's all in Mandarin. He left and he came back. Then he said, okay, I'll speak Mandarin. I'll play. So the playing part, the being playful is so important, right? So back to when my daughter went to school, I started a program in kindergarten. And then, so the whole grade level, about 100 kids, they were all learning Mandarin with her at the same time. And then she's always like a little teacher because she speaks Mandarin at home. Yeah. But the magic thing, what happened was, usually when I went to school, pick up my kids, my students would come to me yelling, Miss Panda, and they'll start singing a Chinese song to me or something they have learned in previous week. And this is what my son one day came to me. He pulled my sleeves. Hey, mom, I said, yeah. Tell them I'm your son and I speak Mandarin. So the language is not only just the language we speak at home. It's something that other kids are also passionate and interested in. And I think that's one thing I feel that a lot of times we worry so much at home, but what we really need is we need to have a community visible to the kids' world, to their environment. We can set the stage so they want to and embrace this heritage language.
I think you took it to the next level now with your daughter, because you published a book. So it's another way to engage your children in Chinese, and I guess right. So I think she illustrated. What can you talk to us about the book?
Yes. So Little Bun, you just see right here, Little Bun, 小包子 actually is co-authored with my daughter, and she actually illustrated it. Why 小包子? Because this is the food both of my kids love, 包子, steamed buns. So every time when they go back to Taiwan, they will look for this delicious buns my mom used to make. And so And we talk about this when we first started with this project. We talk about what would be the something can represent the culture, her heritage culture. That's something she really loves and enjoy. And how would that help other families just like her, other kids just like us, that can connect with this food or what we're going to talk about? And we decided we want to talk about feelings and emotions. So this is Little Bun, a bilingual storybook about feelings. Why?
Oh,
Because I think being parents, raising multilingual children, or being a parent, raising a child with more than one language, it's a lot of emotional labor. That's why we're sitting here. That's why Yoshito is writing a wonderful book.
Thank you.
Right? Seriously, a lot of emotional labor, a lot of feelings. So when Yoshito told me about the world of lost, in search of the lost words, I was like, whoa, this is so important. So we talk about the feelings in this book. It's bilingual, it's in Chinese, it is in Pinyin, it is in English, because we don't want people to feel like they cannot read it. If people cannot read it, even now they cannot read it in Chinese, but maybe later on they can be so curious about it and they want to. So that's the idea of putting this book together. So during the COVID, even before COVID, we started a project, but it's a process. So it took us 3 years to accomplish, to complete this book. But I think the moment we see it holding in our hands, I said, you really have put your heart in this, because she participated, not just doing the illustration, the wording, and also the production of it. Oh, the color is not correct. Oh, there's shading, there's a problem. Well, when we were talking about this, the discussion I had with my daughter is all in Mandarin. And then I think kids need to be able to tell their parents how they feel when they come to learn the target language or just play in the target language, because it's hard for them as well. I was just looking at my son who came to me and said, Mom, nobody's speaking Mandarin. And I have to acknowledge that. And that's true. And what can I do with this? And that's the key. So yeah, that's a little project we did together.
Wow, that's amazing. We probably won't have time today, but something I would like to explore in the future. I was very inspired about how you brought this project into the school, because you took the reins, you took charge, you owned the project as, hey, in order to make an environment for my own kids to learn the language, I have to make it a club, make it a community. So everybody is going to learn. So that is not so easy. It's easy to say, but not so easy to do. So probably, at some point in the future, we should talk about what, the ins and outs, the little details as to how that happened. And it's also, thank you for sharing about the book and what a project it was, how you involved family members to get this. And I'm just looking at it on Amazon, and I am going to get this book.
Thank you.
Because it looks lovely. It's amazing. And you probably have a Facebook page as well?
I do, Miss Panda Chinese, yes.
Miss Panda Chinese. Okay,
yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to be following you. Do you have any other social media?
Yes, they're all in Instagram, YouTube. I have a channel, and also Pinterest is all under Miss Panda Chinese. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I think in the future we're going to be talking about that as well at some point, because you know what I feel now? I feel like I need to copy what you're doing. But for the languages I support, and sometimes some of us are more gifted than others in certain areas, and something that if I wanted to do this, I would ask you, okay, so how do you do this, and how do you do this? Because I'm thinking, how can I replicate it for my language?
Yes.
And and by going through the process of making it in the family, that's how you're transferring that knowledge, because you're showing how important that is. You're showing the time that you're spending and your dedication, right? They'll see that in the future, that it will be saved forever.
I think such a very important point. I believe it's about 9 years ago when I was homeschooling my son. We also just transitioned from overseas back to the US, and he was in middle school. I homeschooled him. And at that time, we put Chinese as a subject, one of the classes in his curriculum. And then I did an interview with him on YouTube, on my channel. And if you go back to watch that precious video, what he said in that video, and because he's in college from now, right? So he still speaks Mandarin, Chinese with me, even though I said, well, when you guys go to college, I'll switch back to Chinese, to English. And they told me, said, why? But if you watch that video, what he said, he told you, oh, it's hard. Oh, but hey, people give me presents when I go to the market, and people in Taiwan, they saw me, they look at me, oh, you are mixed and you're half Chinese, half American, but you can speak Chinese. Oh, here you go. Here's a candy. Oh, here's a little something. I didn't do this by myself. I actually very lucky. I had a lot of help from people I don't know on the street in Taiwan. And people, when I brought the program to a school in Hawaii, Honolulu, when I did a dumpling making program for the Lunar New Year, over, I would say almost 200 parents and grandparents came. And it was incredible. One grandma said something really touched my heart. She came to me, she said, Miss Panda, my grandson didn't like Chinese food. He didn't like dumplings. This is the first time I saw him eating dumpling happily. I said, huh?
Oh.
I make these at home and you are not eating them. What happened? He said, all my friends are eating dumplings.
Oh,
It must be good.
Connection with.
Yeah, it's the same kind of theory. If we can connect our heritage language or the target language with the community, with their community, I think they have a very different feeling with that language.
Value.
Yes. Right?
I think, yes, I think that, I think it's so important because when we create an experience, is going to create a knot in their timeline. My kids were born, and then they're born into a household where we speak Spanish and Mandarin, and it's linear like that. So the kids say, okay, this is my life, and this is normal. Then they begin to figure out, at home, outside the home, we don't speak it. And then they begin to see some changes there, but they still not realizing how powerful that is. It is when you make an event, where you create an event, a live event that is related to language, to culture, where that linear experience takes a turn. And that turn makes them realize, oh, so not everybody is like that. So I actually have an edge on this. I actually have an advantage. I actually have something. They realize they have something that they thought was normal, that everybody had. And then, we speak the language. I speak Spanish, and they don't speak it as well as I do. So they are always feeling that, oh, I'm not going to be like him. But then they go outside and then compare it. And then they see, oh, I actually have an edge on this. I'm actually pretty good at this, right? And it's because we created those events, these cultural events that you're talking about, the projects such as the book. And that is such an experience that you have to go and make in order for them to realize, to deviate from that boring timeline that they thought everybody was like that. Right?
I love that. Totally, right? And then I think the most important thing is, if they can touch it, they can see it, and they can feel it, and they can eat it. You use 5 senses. 5 senses, the teaching is not just for little kids. I think for big kids, for us as well, right? I mean, when we were moving down to Ecuador, I had to learn Spanish. And then I was like, okay, my husband would go to work, maybe in, as soon as we land, the next day he's going to go to work. So I better learn some Spanish. So, and then my kids were learning Spanish, and my daughter continued to learn Spanish, but I am not a Spanish native speaker. So what do? I learn. Now she teaches me, because she's like, Mom, ha. But we were having such a good time. There's another connection I have with her. And then when she was doing Spanish at home, at school, because she liked it so much, I decided, I'm going to, with another friend, we hired a tutor. And the number one principle is, we don't do anything boring. You play games. We only play games, all in Spanish. I think this is very
so
important.
Yeah.
It is so important. Yeah.
So, like, it shouldn't look like an extra effort. It's something that's they want to do. It happens to be in Spanish or in Chinese or whatever language, and that's what makes it relevant to them.
They need to have the need. I think Tetsu talk about everything's fun, gamify. My kids are fighting. Who's going to have the class? That's true. Because, or do you want to do it? You probably don't want to do it. And we're adults. We also want to have some fun as well. So I think a lot of times, sometimes we need to be in the same eye level with our kids. So we can feel what they need, and we can help them with that. It's hard. It doesn't mean that it's easy or simple. That's why I say this is, bilingual parenting, multilingual parenting is serious, a lot of emotional labor. But when you go back to look at certain project you did together, or just like, I was so grateful I was able to capture that video, because I say, okay, today's Chinese is very easy. Do you want to do an interview, or do you want to read 2 pages of a story? He said, I want to do an interview. I said, okay.
Nice.
So we had no preparation. If you watch that video, there's no preparation. It's
just
totally
natural. It's It was him, like really what he was thinking. And
Oh, wow. There's so many thoughts going through my mind now. This is so stimulating. One of them is, I've actually gone through my early videos to see where I had them speaking, because at the time, I was a young dad and I didn't know too much. And I would not record to capture the language. I would just record to capture memories. And so if I could go back, I'm gonna ask him, I'm gonna record what our normal interaction is like when we eat, when we are riding in the car. I mean, I will totally do that and save it for later. I think we should do a program where we challenge parents to, what do you have from your early experience that you can share with us? And what's he saying there? How old is he now? How was he then? And, it's just for fun to see it. And then the other thing that you just made me think about was the challenges and how you make him to do videos and projects like that. In my own practice, I have my daughter in a class with another of her friends, because if I had done it just me and her, it's just that and her. It's not a formal class. So we had her in this class, like a club. And for challenges, we've done final tests and things like that. But more recently had them, okay, so for the final test, you have to do a voiceover of this story. That is the test. And they're like, okay. So, okay, well, I tricked them into believing that was the final test. And if you don't do it, you don't pass it. So they did it. And they sat here with this microphone I have here with my computer. I put on my headphones, and it's all like very serious recording studio stuff. So I just had to put some soundproofing to my room so that they would feel that. And they put on the headphones and they just read. They don't get overwhelmed by the idea of the room they're in, the microphone. And it's the stories they've been reading for 10 weeks. Okay, so we did it. I edited on audio software and I published it. And there they are. Their stories are being read out there. And, now, what was the goal here? To make them do the recording and to post it on a video to get views? No, it was for them to go through that experience, and that belongs to them forever. Now, eventually, like Amanda's son, it was hopefully when my kids are in college, they go back and see, hey, this is what I sounded like. So this is an attempt to record what they were like back then. So I mean, I'm just so inspired, Amanda, by your projects and everything. I think we should do this more often. Yoshito would probably, save your Saturday afternoons forever.
Well, I thank you so much, Hugo. I think we're all very passionate about raising bilingual kids and multilingual kids. And then I think the most important thing, what we were talking about, is the experience. Is this a good experience? Is this going to be hard? It is going to be hard. But I think the most important thing is the power of wanting. If a child wants to learn, you cannot stop it. So that's what we're doing here. We want them to feel like they want to do this. And then I always tell my students, I said, I'm not going to teach you forever, because I want you to experience other teachers. But the most important thing is that you are going to take what I have shared with you and to go on this journey. And I want you to come back and tell me what you have done or what have you been doing. And that's the thing. You give them the power of wanting. You pave a scenario, you pave a road. You don't really pave a road, you just give them an opportunity. Let them be curious. I think curiosity is so important. If they're curious, then they will keep going. And then we need to always have empathy in there, because we need to think like them. It can be hard. If this is my language, that's why I constantly need to put myself in a different language learning experience to remind myself, what is it like to learn another language? So that's what I want to do.
Yes, that is so important. And now that you just mentioned putting yourself in other languages' shoes, that kind of reminds me that we have challenges.
Just before we go to challenges, I wanted to ask Amanda, so because you created all these experiences for your children by going into their classes or their schools and creating classes. But if so a parent is watching us right now and thinking, my child said, maybe not as directly as your son, but they don't want to speak the language, what can they do? What would you advise them if they're working parents? So for example, they can't go into the school and do a program. What could they do that would create something similar in terms of experience for their children?
Story time. Go to school, do a story time with the class, and do it in 2 languages. Yeah, that's the easiest way you can do. Go into a classroom, ask your child's teacher and say, I would like to come in. For example, this month is the AAPI Heritage Month. So you can bring a book, go to your child's classroom and say, I would like to read a bilingual book, even if you just want to read it in English. But if the kids can see the text, the Chinese characters, Japanese characters, French, Spanish, they will be like, what is that? And some kids in the school, I believe, maybe somebody speaks that language, they have seen it, they'll be so excited to tell you, I know that. That happened to me when I read The Very Hungry Caterpillar in Mandarin Chinese to a class. I pulled out the Mandarin Chinese copy, and these kids only did the program with me maybe for 10 weeks, maybe 10 times. I was just having fun, want to show them that. I pulled that out. Every child said, I know how to read this story.
Oh.
You know why? Because they have the background information of the story. So when they see the Chinese characters on the page, they are not afraid at all. They go and they learn and they laugh and they are telling me. I think it's how we present it to the kids. It's always the presentation, how you connect with them, how we bridge the whole language gap. And the most important thing, I always feel my job is to help the gap, to bridge the gap from this classroom to home. There's usually a disconnect. You learn this language, you go home, you don't use it. But what we really need is we need to have that bridge, because what we're looking for is transformation. No matter this language is your heritage language or this language is a world language, what we want to know is, can you use this language to communicate? Just like when a child's mother came to me and said, we went to a Chinese restaurant and my daughter basically asked them for water and chopsticks in Mandarin. And everybody came to look at us.
Wow. That's nice.
She has nobody to practice Mandarin at home, but because she learned something, she decided to take it out, to use it. Do you think that kind of experience to kind of boost the energy of the child? She said, I want to learn more. Or another friend, another student, Japanese American student came to me because I told them, well, starting next month, I'm going to teach you Chinese characters. We're going to read Chinese characters. We're going to put them together. I didn't do that because it was a few weeks away. He couldn't wait. He came to me. One day he gave me a whole page of Chinese words. He said, these are the words you should teach. I learned these in my Japanese school.
Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty of how eager kids want to learn, but how can we inspire or trigger that eager so they want to keep learning or speaking or using or communicating? What is the need? We need to find a need.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's
Wow.
really inspiring and giving lots of useful information for people.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really grateful.
And so, Hugo, you wanted to do the challenge?
Oh,
Okay, so oh my God, I wasn't prepared for this because she just shared, Amanda just shared that she speaks Spanish. Okay.
very basic, okay? I've been back for a while. I haven't been using it for a long time. I can learn.
So, but so I can think of something. I have something in the back of my hand for that. But before that, I want to ask Josh if he had a challenge for me. I think he mentioned something, so he was asking me if my Mandarin was fluent, but I don't know exactly where he was going with that.
Oh,
So I don't know.
So it was related to one aspect I'm covering in the book. So in this book, so In Search of the Lost Words, but also in this guide for children. So just to remind people who picking up here the live, it's so if we reach my campaign is fully funded. So this one is the printed one, but people are going to get the digital version with the digital version of this book. And so where I'm going with this is that I talk about superpowers that children are unknowingly developing. And one of them is this ability to understand, so to be more observant and to understand things from the context in different languages. So I was wondering if you two could have a conversation in Mandarin, and I would try to guess what you're talking about, but I need, because it's a bit too difficult without context. You just give me the situation, like you're in this situation and you have a conversation, and there are a few people following us right now. So if they can also try to guess what you're saying, that would be great. If they don't speak Chinese, otherwise it's cheating. But so
we should do something very, Hugo, what do you think? We do something kind of like a simple, and then it will be kind of fun. What do you think?
Okay, so I think we should do this. Yes. Well, Josh still kind of knows that we're seeing each other for the first time. So, okay, that's enough. Okay. And then I think we should run on a conversation for about a minute. How about a minute? Is a minute good enough? We can say a lot in 1 minute.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull up a timer here for me. And then I'll let you know when the minute is over. Okay. And okay, that's working. And so we'll go with 1 minute conversation. Okay. And then we'll give Yoshito a few hints, and then we'll let him go.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So before, Amanda, do you want to start with the first one, or do I?
I think we'll just start with something very simple. So even though the context they can guess with our gestures and things like that. Probably.
So
Yeah.
do you want to start with the first?
Okay.
So we're going 3, 2, 1.
Hugo, 你好。
你好。
Hugo, 我肚子饿，我想吃东西。
哦，
你呢？
我也肚子饿，我也想吃东西。我早饭还没吃呢。我一直都吃喝咖啡呢。我一直都喝咖啡，还没有吃东西啊。
没有吃东西，喝咖啡。我也没有吃东西，只有喝水。我想吃一个圆圆的东西。这是什么？圆圆的东西
是一个让我更饿。我想吃一个葱油饼。
圆圆的葱油饼
对，
一个圆圆的葱油饼。我也想吃一个圆圆的葱油饼。葱油饼好吃吗？葱油饼好吃吗？
葱油饼非常好吃。
葱油饼非常好吃。
妈妈做的葱油饼。
妈妈做的葱油饼好吃。
对。
哎呀 ，Hugo， 我肚子好饿。
Okay, I'll stop you there. That's 1 minute and 25 seconds. Okay, so Yoshito, she's really good.
Yeah, I think Amanda, you made loads
really
of gestures, so that was harmful. And you were repeating words and doing gestures. So okay, I'm going to go for you're asking Hugo what was wrong, if he was feeling ill or something. And Hugo said probably that he wasn't feeling well because he drank coffee. So I don't know if it's too much coffee or whatever. But then you said, but more than coffee, it's better to drink water. And maybe I'm thinking at the end that this circular thing, I think you talked about drinking maybe soup or something, and that Hugo was saying that his mom's soup was good. So that's all I
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, Amanda, do you want to take it, or do I take it?
You go ahead, Hugo.
Okay.
This is so fun.
Okay, so this is so interesting. Yeah. Oh my God! Look at she's got emojis. I need to get that.
I'll give you 2 thumbs up. I really do. Really.
Oh my God, those are such great tools. I'm gonna copy you. So it's so interesting to see, just based on a language he doesn't know and based on our gestures, where his brain is going with that information, right? It's so interesting how just by looking at the gestures, he could either be on the right track or on the wrong track, right? Especially because you don't know any of the vocabularies. He got some clues from something that he could relate to, but then that was it, right? So even if you know a little bit, it would help you kind of keep the track, right? So no matter what level of Chinese, if you speak it to your kids, my kids would definitely follow this, and they are not fluent at all in Mandarin, but they would totally follow this conversation, right? And I'm sure that Yoshito had 2 more cues there. He would totally follow it. That kind of reminds me of, is it okay if I teach my kids just 1 or 2 vocabulary words and know how to say it? I feel that that's too little, that's useless. No, actually, it is useful, because just by picking up some words from here and there, you can pick on the thread of the conversation, right? So, okay, Joshua, you need to learn a little more vocabulary. But kidding.
Can I just read what Ute said? So her suggestion is that, so she said, you're talking about having only a coffee or water? Are you talking about food again? And that is yummy, so something that's yummy.
Ooh.
Yes. Well, Hugo, what do you think? Should we reveal a little bit more? Because for I'm going to give Uta a star.
Thank you.
Uta, you got a star.
I love these props.
Well, you
I
got
know.
2 thumbs up. You know, the funny thing, it actually it's very hard. Just like when I first listened to Spanish on radio, I seriously didn't know what they were talking about. But the more you listen to it, and I had some classes, I start to pick up the numbers. So I know, oh, they're talking about numbers. And later on, a little bit better, oh, something hot, weather or something. So that's exactly what's so important here about learning a language. You need to have clues. So Yoshito used the clues we have, like a gesture. It's also very important, right? So he knows about, oh, something eating, something drinking, coffee, mama. So he is creating a story with the information without knowing Chinese at all. So that's really fascinating. Really
Yes.
fascinating.
So do you want to tell us what the conversation was about?
Oh,
And disclose it.
Oh, yeah. It's just we are talking about we are both hungry. And then I said, I want to eat something round, like a circle. So you got it, circle. And then he said, oh, yeah. So what is that? The circle thing I want to eat. And then Hugo mentioned, oh, there's a green onion pancake. Oh, mom made some. Mom's is the best. So we basically continue with that.
Pancake. Okay.
Yeah, like a pancake. And he said all morning he only had coffee. I said, oh, me too. I only had water. So we went through that whole conversation. So, but the thing is, like, every little tiny little block you do with your kids, they're all very helpful. So Hugo, go back to what you just said. I said, well, my kids will be able to totally follow this conversation. Why? Because they can pick up here and there all the little things they know, and they can thread it, and they have background information that's very similar to the story about a very hungry caterpillar Mandarin edition. They don't know this book. They have never read it, but because they have the background information, so they are going to piece this together, and they can learn more and consolidate what their knowledge and meaning of the words.
That's what I do when I visit my in-laws. So I know a few words of Korean. So, and because I know the situation, when I hear these words and I piece them together with what I know about the situation, I'm able to follow. Even if I'm not able to interact too much or to say too much, I understand quite a lot. Like you said, through the situation the background information.
Yeah, that's interesting how Amanda said, 我肚子饿. So, and then she made this gesture. Well, and Joshua analyzed that as, what was it, being angry?
Not feeling well.
Not feeling well.
I thought, and because you're doing this, I thought you were saying that either you had are you ill? And then Hugo, you gestured something that like something was hurting. So but actually you were hungry. But I just interpreted as being ill. And then you showed a glass of water and you showed coffee. So I thought, okay, maybe he says that he has a headache because he's just been drinking coffee. That's what the background information you're talking about. If you drink just coffee, maybe you have a headache, and water is healthy. So that's how I interpreted it. Yeah.
So in this case, Yoshito is our kid, and we're interacting in Mandarin with him. But imagine if we had that just 我肚子饿, and you heard it every day. And you heard it every day, at least, well, whenever you're hungry. So like 3 times a day, and then 3 times a day, 5 days a week. And then how many times is that? And then, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Yoshito can pick up on 我肚子饿 probably next time, right? We're gonna test him next time.
That's
but if you have it at home and you're repeating it so many times, it will stick. It will stick, and it will belong to you.
Right.
I still remember what you taught us before. Fan.
Yes.
Is it correct, the pronunciation?
Totally correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. You get a thumbs up and a star.
Thank you.
One thing I want to say is for all the parents and all whatever we're learning or helping our kids to acquire. This is a quote that really, I think is so important. We need daily consistency, not occasional intensity.
Yeah.
That's about learning. That's about practice. That's about experience.
Well, there's so many topics and so many subjects that we could go in detail. And I think this is, Joshua, thank you very much for helping putting this together, and Amanda for joining, and of course, Ute and Tetsu that joined. I think there's so many things to talk about, and we have to get the conversation going, and we have to make more of a, get together and make so much more noise about, to all of the Facebook group members also that find it difficult to just join in because they found that their family, it's a little bit more special because they speak other languages and they don't know how to support them. Language is such an abstract thing that only some people are able to see it on at a graphical level in their minds, or at an analytical level like math. Not everybody's like that. For them, language is something that is just so, you don't see it. You cannot really graph it. I mean, it's so difficult, right? And it's just talking about this and identifying certain things just little by little would help everyone. So I don't know. I hope that, I don't know if we'll be able to make a podcast, a regular podcast out of this or something like that. Yes. So for me, particularly, it was important to come and help Joshua on this campaign. And Joshua brought in his friends, and including you, Amanda, for me to know. And they're so inspiring, right? And for me, today, I just came in to fail at a internet-on, at a broadcast, at a live broadcast, because I needed to fail to go on and become a little better next time, right? Well, it's like language. We need to fail and become a little bit better next time. And speaking of failing, okay, you spoke that you said that you speak some Spanish, okay? So I think the one more challenge, and just to close up our stream today, Joshua and I have spoken Spanish, and we spoke for hours. Okay. Yes. I mean, because I was awed at the level at which he speaks it. Okay. And for me, it was very interesting to hear his nuanced Spanish. Okay. Because I come from a different Spanish background. Okay. So what do
Spanish, not natural Spanish.
Well, let's see how it goes with this challenge. So why don't we turn it around onto Joshua? So now he'll be, now Amanda is going to be the subject. Joshua and I are going to have a conversation, but a minute 25. Okay. And I don't know how easy we should make it. Don't make it easy, Joshua, please. Don't make it easy.
Okay, so
we have a conversation about a minute and a half, and then see how much she picked up.
Okay.
So I can start, or you can start. Anything that it's interesting to you, summer plans, whatever.
Okay. Let's go with that, summer plans. So you have a context.
Okay.
Vale, pues empezamos.
Okay. Then 3, 2, 1.
Vale. ¿A dónde vas a ir este verano?
Ay, este verano no estoy seguro, no tenemos planes concretos porque bueno, mi esposa quiere ir a China, quiere volver a China y visitar a sus padres porque no los ha visto en 3 o 4 años por la pandemia. Pero mi hija todavía no tiene el pasaporte, entonces no sabemos si vamos a poder ir a China. ¿Ustedes qué planes tienen?
Pues no tenemos nada en concreto también, tampoco, pero
Tampoco.
sí, pero pensamos ir a Francia y quizás visitar a castillos en Francia por la historia, porque mis hijos son franceses, pero no conocen la historia francesa. Y, y sí, pienso que es una experiencia muy interesante para los niños visitar castillos en la realidad, no solamente en libros.
¿Y van a ir a París?
No a París ¿cómo se dice en español?
Ah,
Los castillos
cerca del río. Hay un río, ¿no?
Sí. Y hay muchos castillos en el río.
Sí, es cierto. Sí, hay por ahí muchos. Por ahí está la tumba de Da Vinci, ¿o no?
¿Sí?
Sí,
No
yo
sé.
creo que la tumba de Da Vinci está ahí cerca.
Vale.
Yo
No
quiero ir.
sabía.
Yo quiero ir.
Vale. ¿Quieres venir
Ok,
conmigo a Francia?
me encantaría, pero
Vale.
necesito dinero.
Sí.
Okay, that was a minute and 50 seconds.
So
And
I have to say we've been less gentle on Amanda because we haven't done as many gestures.
I
It's-
know.
It's so fascinating because seriously, just listening to the conversation, I was like, I need to run away. Sorry.
I don't know.
I'm back. Okay, I
Eh,
need to be brave. But this is the fun about learning a language, right? Making mistakes and then listen to the wrong thing. And I have to tell you, one time I did when I was learning English, I basically one time I was doing a talk or a conversation when I was in high school. I literally told my teacher, my English teacher, like my mother is a rice cooker. The machine. So everybody was laughing. I was not laughing because I said, well, my mom is a rice cooker. And then later I realized, no, I'm saying she is a good chef, but I didn't have the words. So, well, plus ER, then become a person. So cook become cooker. Okay, so it's fine. So I'm going to try my best.
I don't know, Yoshio, I don't know if during our conversation you took the time to see Amanda's expressions.
Yeah.
She was 100%
Yeah.
into this. She was like, oh my God, you have to go back to this stream and pay attention to that because that was gold.
It's so fun. I think you were asking each other where you're going to go during the summertime. And then and Hugo was talking about going to China because of the COVID, 3 to 4 years. He probably didn't go back. And then so it's important to go to China, especially maybe with the kids. And then for Yoshito, I think you're thinking about going to France because there's some kind of a historical kind of experience that will be interesting for the kids. And then Hugo asked, well, are you going to Paris? I believe that's what I heard. And then there's involving a river and talking about Da Vinci, something like maybe historical site, something like that. And you're going maybe with France. That's all I can get.
So wait, you know a bit of Spanish, no?
Yeah,
she said
a little bit.
I was like, how did you guess all of that?
A little
There
bit.
are some words that are similar, but to that amount of details is wow.
I know.
yes.
I took French also, so I have some French background, so sometimes it helps me. Yeah.
She definitely picked up much more than Yoshito did when we did our Chinese part.
Yeah.
So that goes to show, that just learning a little bit, and even you don't claim fluency to it, you can keep up. You can keep up with things, and that's so important. Look at Yoshito thought that that we were sick and all of that. But now Amanda is not concerned, about us because we're not suffering from an illness or anything like that, right? So it's just, it just makes you walk through a parallel universe. Are you in or are you out? Can you follow? And it's if you get to think like that, you're walking in a different universe, literally. Right.
We need to start thinking of all the little wins we get. So, for example, each little word we get, instead of thinking of all the words we don't understand, And that puts us in a positive mindset as well, to understand more, to appreciate more conversations or exchanges we can have with people.
Yes. Yes. So Joshua, you want to share more of what we actually said so that we don't leave Amanda in the dark?
Yeah, I cannot sleep
So
tonight, you know.
the only thing that you didn't pick up, you picked up everything. I was amazed that you picked up on Da Vinci, because I think you said it quite quickly. And so I thought maybe you would think it's part of a word, but you picked up on that. The only thing that you didn't pick up on is that we were going to visit castles in France.
Ah, yes, yes. I actually wrote it here.
Castillos, yeah.
Castillos. Sí.
Oh, wow.
Bueno.
Wow. All right. So Joshua, you want to give us one last update how we're doing on the campaign?
Yeah.
And please also tell us where to find it, you know, details like that, and how many days we have left.
So, okay, we haven't had new pledges yet. So yours, but not others. Okay, where to find the campaign if you want to support it? First, you have the details in the description of this video, but you go to Kickstarter.com and you search for my project, which is In Search of the Lost Words. And then you have different packages on there that you can choose. And you have until Tuesday, so we have 3 more days to get this to fully funded. Because so one thing that I think I didn't mention before, but Kickstarter works on an all or nothing campaign model, which means that if we reach the full amount, then I get the funds to be able to pay my illustrator I showed you my drawings before, but to make them beautiful. And so that's the kind of illustration she can make. And that's the cover of my book. So really attractive for children. And what did I want to say? Yeah, and also the printing of the books. So this would help with both of these. Yeah, and if we don't get to the full amount, I get nothing. So the book can't exist. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Kickstarter. I myself, I wasn't too confident about using it because I had never used it before. So first I created an account.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
for this, I made a video on my YouTube channel, which is 1 or 2 videos before this one. So if you go into my channel and you explore not the last video, the one before is me explaining how to support the campaign, and I walk you through how to create your account, etc.
Okay. The one thing one thing I wanted to mention in search of the lost words is that there are different pledges here. So you don't have to be you know, spilling out a whole bunch of dollars or funds here, but there are different ones. And I cannot find it now. They start, I think you go on pledge.
Yeah, so on the side, right hand side, if you scroll down, on the right hand side where your mouse is, that's where you can click, and then it takes you to the page where you can pledge. But I think because you pledged already, I'm not sure it's going to work.
Okay. Yes. Okay. It shows my pledge here.
Yeah.
And then, but they start at £5 here, which is about $7. And it describes what the supporter gets. And you get an estimated delivery here. Yeah. And then they go to 15, 25, 49, and they go on to larger amounts and also corporate. That include
sponsors and
corporate sponsors. Yes.
And one thing maybe for families that could be fun is there is a package where you can get yourself and your child illustrated in the book. So if you want to be part of a book, and when you turn the pages, you can say, "Oh, look, that's you." Well, you can take that as well. It's a bit above. You scroll up. That's for sponsors. That's for schools, so author visits.
Author visit.
And oh yeah, that's another one for schools. So
classroom
up,
package.
Yeah, a bit up. That's this. No, that's for the classes as well. Yeah, this one. Be part of the book. Yeah. So if you want to be part of the book with your children, or you want the grandparents and grandchildren together in the book, you can take this package as well.
All right. All right. Okay. So if it's 3 more days, that's up until Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we are going to, once we go off the live stream, we are going to save this and we're going to post so that you can watch the whole thing or even listen to the whole thing. I think I'm pretty sure we can find a way to just extract the audio and publish it out in podcast format. Because this conversation was so stimulating, we have to get it out.
And I think the main message today was really how we can motivate our children to speak our language and to focus on how to motivate them rather than just focusing on the end product, which is like them speaking the language, but how we can motivate them so they want to speak or they want to read and write. So my book is specifically to help them write, but today's conversation was for everything in general. And so I want to thank again Amanda, Tetsu, and Ute for joining us. It's been really great to have you with us and to give so much information and fun as well. So thank you very much.
Yes, I want to thank you both and Joshua for all the work that you put together, not only on your book that you've been working on for, I don't know, over a year, 2 years, 2 years.
August, it's going to be 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
From the first idea to this August is going to be 2 years. Yeah.
Right. And all the work that you put in throughout this week, for those of you who don't know, I pitched this idea to Joshua Monday.
Last Saturday.
Okay, last Saturday. And we pulled this together just in a few days while we do life, while we work, while we attend to a family business and everything. And we pulled all this together. And thank you to Amanda and all the other guests who joined us just after knowing in this time.
Thank you so much for making this possible, and Hugo for having this idea at the beginning and co-hosting with me this event. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm able to meet Hugo, a new friend, and also it's just wonderful. I think in the raising multilingual children, the most important thing is not you kick a start and you have a goal, but what's the most important part is the process. It's always the process. And what Yoshito is doing, his book In Search of the Lost Words, is a very important part in the process because you can, hold it and then make it happen and keep going on the journey. So support Yoshito, in the search of the lost words.
And thank you for all those of you who've been following. Thank you.
One word for the viewers. Please let us know. I'll be keeping track of your comments. I'll definitely know. Please let us know what you thought about today. Would you like to see this again? Did you like this format? Did you like the challenges? Do you have challenges for us? Do you want to come on board and tell us about your specific experience or something? Do you think that the experts that came in online today have an answer for you? Do you have a question for them? Do you have a situation that you would like to explore? All this, you can just let us know. And that would encourage us to think about ways of making it possible.
Thank you very much. So I guess we ran over time by a lot. So thank you for you two for staying and making this event full of value for everyone. And so I guess we're going to say goodbye, and I'm going to end the live. I'm not sure how to do it. So thank you.
Yes. It's just see you again. 再见. And,
再见.
再见.
Oh, It's just to see you again, not a goodbye. It's just to
Yeah.
see you again.
Yeah. See
All right.
you.
Bye-bye.